Go up, thou bald head. 10 points if you got that one.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Son, you've kissed my wife. Baby, my heart's on fire.
In this review, we look at the SH Figuarts Body Chan DX set, the gray color version from Bandai. This is not meant as an action figure for display. Body Chan and its male counterparts are meant as an aid to artists and illustrators for drawing the human figure. By providing a featureless mannequin with high posability, Figuarts fills a void in drawing tools that has existed for many years. The box shows off the figure, which is much smaller than I thought it would be. It displays the figure in various poses with some of the accessories off to the side. On the back it shows off yet more poses, along with diagrams that show people how to use this figure for its intended purpose. Also shown is a small snapshot with all of the accessories which are included, as well as the figure stand. The box is solid and protects the figure well, and the manufacturing company made sure that it was well padded for its journey. I will now unbox and review the Body Chan because I body can. Out of box, the Body Chan figure is indeed small, barely clearing 5 inches in height. It also has a very light feel to it with very little weight or heft. There is no need to discuss the paint or the detailing, because there is none. This figure is not meant to be any famous character, hero, or villain. It is simply a blank slate made of gray plastic. It does not even have anything beyond the most basic of facial features, the mere indication of where the nose, mouth, and brows would be. The proportions are certainly those of an anime, manga-style female. It is definitely an aid for comic book-style illustration, and they would certainly not be using this as a template for bringing back the happy-to-be-me dolls. For articulation, am I the only one who feels weird touching this? Anywho, the head will do a full 360-degree rotation. It will also tilt forwards and backwards a fair degree on a ball socket. The neck base will also rotate, and depending on how the head is angled, that can give you more options for posing the head. The figure boasts that it only allows realistic humanoid poses and has limits based on human anatomy. As such, you cannot simply rotate the shoulders any which way. There is an embedded swivel inside each shoulder that simulates the clavicle joints and allows slight movement of the arms up and down in their sockets, but it's not by much. There is a rotational joint for each shoulder mounted inside each of the clavicle joints, and they will do a full 360-degree rotation. They are also hinged so that each arm can splay inwards and outwards. The clavicle joint does give some limits to the arm rotation, so you can't just fling them about willy-nilly. There is no elbow rotational joint, but each elbow is double hinged, so you can crook each arm fairly close together and get that elusive bicep curling pose done just right. The wrists are each composed of a joint that will hinge about 180 degrees, and due to the way the hands plug into each wrist, you may rotate them 360 degrees in their very delicately pegged sockets. The upper body is hinged near the chest and allows slight rotation forwards and backwards, along with a full 360-degree rotation and some side-to-side tilting. There is a second joint at the waistline, which does the same. This allows you to get some impressive hunching and back-arching poses from your body chan, as well as getting some of those saucy hip tosses. The hip joints differ from the ball and socket affair typical of most Marvel figures, nor is it the dual hinge setup used by Mattel. It seems to be a hybrid of the two, with some ball socket elements combined with a swiveling hinge, both set into a socket that conforms fairly well to the hip and pelvis. If you squint a little, you can almost pretend that the hinges aren't there. You can get some impressively high kicks from the thigh swivels, and they do allow for enough rotation for you to get several very delicate leg poses that you normally can't get with action figures of any persuasion. I was surprised to see that there is no thigh or shin rotations, and also the knees are not fully double-jointed. There is a quasi-double-jointed knee, which does allow for a nearly 90-degree bend, but the leg relies on the thigh-hip sockets to provide much of the rotation. It sort of looks like the knee has two joints, but the one that joins with the thigh doesn't appear to want to bend, and the figure is fragile enough that I don't want to force it. The ankles have a wide range of motion for foot poses, and also include a toe joint. As you can see, the ankles will also rotate in their sockets, and they also have a side-to-side tilt. It should be noted that one potential weakness with this figure is that the wrist pegs seem very small and delicate. This kind of scares me a little because I can see these tiny little nubs just popping off someday, especially if the owner is too heavy-handed. The breaking of even one of these little nubs would make the entire hand selection gloriously useless. But if care and caution are used, you can swap out the hands and replace them for use with the varying accessories that come with this figure. While the figure has its stiffness and fiddly limitations at the shoulders and hips, the articulation is still robust enough that I feel it blows most conventional action figures, even the supposedly high-end ones, completely out of the water. And since Figuarts has proved that you can get smaller figures to be this highly poseable, it makes me wonder why other companies aren't mimicking the technology. I'm looking at you, Hasbro. With this articulation of proven technology, there is no excuse for stuff like these shampoo bottle figures. The figure comes with an instruction booklet and diagram manual which profiles all of the features and accessories. It also includes an instructional manual, which is meant for artists to use as a guide for using the figure as an aid to their illustrations. It also comes with this graph paper card, which is meant, I suppose, to use as a perspective aid for the drawing process. If those were the only items in the package, I would say that even the excellent posability would not make this figure worth the price. However, the value of this set lies not only in the figure itself, but in its wealth of accessories. The kit comes with not one, but two 10-pronged racks, with a total of 19 hands in varying poses. The hands will pop off from the figure's wrists and can be swapped out fairly easily. They even supplied an empty rack, so that you may store additional hands which may be sold separately. Other accessories include an iPhone, a flip phone, a tablet and stylus, an articulated laptop accessory, a small pistol, and lastly a humongous manga-style katana, Each of these accessories can be held by a hand that is made to match it. There is also a spare claw base for the display stand, one that does not have a support hook at the base. And yes, the kit does include a display stand, for as anyone knows, getting an action figure of any kind to hold a pose without support can be a nightmare. But the Figuarts Body Chan has an easily assembled support armature, which bends, swivels, tilts, and rotates at several points, and maintains its postures solidly enough to support the Body Chan figure, even when in jumping poses, crouches, and flying kicks. This is a welcome addition, especially when using the figure for its intended purpose as an illustration guide. And not only that, the plastic base of this display stand serves as a lid for a rather neato carrying case which easily holds all of the Body Chan accessories. The hand racks fit into these slots, the katana fits crossways into these notches, and all of the other parts are safely contained in these compartments. Well done, Figuarts. I'm sure you're thinking that's all well and good, Death. But is Body Chan actually good as an illustration guide? Well, see for yourself. As you can see, Body Chan can be put into many dynamic poses. One need only pose the figure patiently, take a snapshot at the desired angle, then bring it into Photoshop or your design suite of choice, and it becomes a very useful template for your drawing projects. The display stand allows you to get that perfect shot without having to worry about needing to hold the figure in one hand while using your camera. In fact, the mere existence of these figures is reason enough to finally consign those ridiculous craft mannequins to the ash heap of history. I can't believe why anyone would want one of these when they could have one of these. So whoever makes these things, please just give it up. Really. Just stop it. You are useless now. Death has spoken. In fact, I would like to here issue a request to the people at Figuarts. As one who has dabbled in just about everything, I do illustrations as well, and one of the things that the artistic community has been clamoring for a long time is a poseable articulated hand to use as an illustration guide. Anyone who has tried drawing the hand knows that it can be a nightmare. Yes, you can look at your own hands, but they're attached to you, so you can't use them as a decent reference for many of the angles you need. And since it's just too weird to ask other people to pose their hands for you, a half-scale, poseable, fully articulated hand would be a literal godsend. So Figuarts, you have proved to Death that you've got the stuff. You can do this. Please undertake the effort to provide the market an articulated hand, one that has fingers which are accurately jointed and which can both curl and splay. You will be doing artists across the globe a favor by letting us junk those ridiculous wooden versions which can't pose worth squat. I think I speak for many artists that such an item would get us to open our hearts and our wallets. For size comparison, here is the Body Chan figure next to a 6-inch action figure. Here it is next to a Voyager-sized Transformer. Here it is next to a Leader-class Transformer. And a pipe wrench. There is very little to find fault with in the Body Chan kit, nor in its male counterpart, the Body Kun. They are of excellent quality, highly posable, and come with many accessories which make it well worth the price. The Figuarts people also sell many accessories separately, including Super Saiyan effect pieces for those goofy 20-minute anime attack build-ups. They also sell additional hands and other items for additional personalization. The only weak points in my mind are that the shoulders and hips sometimes don't extend as far as I would like. They can be fiddly to pose at times, and I'm scared to me that those little wrist nubs might break when I try to swap out a hand. But even with these little drawbacks, the Body Chan and Body Kun figures score 10 out of 10 deaths. In fact, I will probably be getting more in the future. And if they make an articulated hand, I will get that too. Hint, hint.
If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone, oh baby. Tell them all, and tell me I'm your own.